Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Um,
what class is this for?
this is for construction technology, con 453. Yeah. So we go over different systems, building information systems. It's usually one new one per week.
Yeah.
Last week we were doing 3D scans, or were we doing 3D scans? We were doing a walkthrough, I think.
You're doing like 3D cameras and how that translates into like what you can do with it and all that jazz.
There you go.
So when you're saying 3D cameras, are you talking about like you're just taking like an Insta 360 camera and taking a bunch of pictures and stitching them together?
Yeah,
All of
yeah.
this. Yeah. You
Okay.
can.
And then we'll go in and we'll like see if we can pull dimensions off of those and just basically see how we can use that technology like virtually instead of having to do it like as built out in the field.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
we do the same thing, but the as builts are still like required. It's still
Yeah.
part of like the handover package
Hmm.
on Vila, the project that we were just talking about. Like they're almost done, like fully, like like punch list, like up to level 7, and so I need to get like their as built models. So my job was to coordinate the project, to coordinate all the systems. Um, Even with that coordination, it's not perfect. So whatever changes were made in the field that deviate from the model, I need their updated as built models so that I'll
Oh,
bring those together and we'll turn them over to the owner.
okay.
Yeah.
Hold up.
Nice.
I'll do this in a more structured format. So we're just gonna go through one by one. I know the answer to some of these, but what's your job title and where do you
I'm
work?
a I'm a VDC manager at Clayco.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and so we just went over this. We weren't recording though. Are you assigned to a project slash job site, or do you work more out of the main or corporate office?
When the job is in town, I work off the job site. My current project is in LA, so I'm working out of the main office right now.
Okay, type that down. Usually, site. Sweet. Thanks for Thanks for doing that for me. How long have you been working at your current company?
I've been with Clayco for a little over a year and a half. It'll be 2 years in March.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah,
And
Um,
how long have you been in the industry?
12 years.
Nice.
Yeah, so I started. I went to school for construction management. Went to NAU. Started working for a roofer my senior year of college, and after I graduated, that's when I moved on to a GC and kind of
okay.
stuck with GC since.
Nice.
Yeah.
And were you doing BIM coordination for the roofing company as well, or the roofing contractor?
No, for the roofer, no. I was doing all their bids. I did all their pre-con estimating, bidding. I got into uh, purchasing materials, coordinating material delivery.
Okay, that's actually
Yeah.
really. Did you tell me about this before? You might
I don't
have.
know. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay. All right. Right on. So we got that. How long have you been working at your current company and construction industry? So what technologies do you use the most of or most frequently at your work? Just two, for example.
I've been trying to figure out how to answer this one because I use I primarily use Navisworks. That's what I do my coordination in.
Okay.
But we're moving on to ACC, the online coordination module there. So I'm actually going to be stepping away. Like the next project I get handed to, I'll be stepping away from Navisworks and trying out the ACC coordination.
Wait, is that the way everyone is headed to? I just hit a job site and they made the exact same transition within the BIM department.
It's kind of being pushed. So like the reason why I was like thinking about this question is because Autodesk, they own Navisworks, they own Revit, they own a lot of the tools in the AEC industry. And so like I use Revit pretty heavily uh, for modeling and for penetration plans. Like I'll take each trade's individual sleeve plan, combine it, like combine them all on like a single level or like a tilt panel, and hand that out to the field so everyone can see where everyone's penetrations are going or where their sleeves are going to be installed. So it's like Revit is primarily used by architects, but I go in and I add my supplemental information to it.
Okay.
And for like for the Hollywood Studios project I'm on, like I've modeled in beam insulation, I've modeled in like grid lines and like clearance zones that typically like nobody models in, but we got to know where all that stuff is at.
Oh, wow.
So I've been using Revit for I guess 12 years, or actually a little bit longer. I learned Revit back in 2012. So I guess 13 years with that. So it's like I'm actually really like I'm really good in Revit now. I know what it can do. So when there's something that I come across that I don't know what to do, I know what it can do and I know how to find the information.
Okay, sweet. And sorry, what did you mean by like clearance zones? Like clearance for, cranes and
Yeah.
okay.
The specific example for Hollywood Park Studios is can I share my screen?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
You disabled attendee screen sharing.
My bad. Um, meeting settings. Stop incoming video. Show connected at a time. Always show meeting controls. Okay, share screen. There you go. Should be able to do it now.
All right, let's see. Here we go. All right, so this job I'm working on right now. So this is one of the sound stages, and for like clearance zones, I modeled in this overhead clearance in the catwalks. So you got these catwalks over the stages. So down here, let's just say ESPN is going to set up a stage and do all their works. You'll have your cameras, you'll have your lights hanging from the overhead catwalk here. But then you got this. It's not really a level 2. It's mezzanine catwalk area. So we have to have a clearance of 6'8". I got to raise that 1.5 inches. Actually, I'm glad I saw that. So you, there's there's a requirement to be a 6'8" headspace on the catwalk. So these zones highlighted in red here weren't part of the model. So I put that
Gotcha.
in. And so I'm going in these clearance to see like what are we hitting. So I even set up a clash test for this.
Nice.
So like looking through the aisles, actually, I think this stage was pretty clear. The other stage, yeah, this one's actually looking good. But basically, I'm using I've modeled this in to make sure like our heads are clear
Yeah.
in here.
Okay, that's super interesting.
And actually, like that, actually, I would there, right there, I'd be like, oh, that piece of steel, gonna bump your head on it, or whatever. So like I'm gonna call this out here and be like, structural framing is in clearance zone. Do we want to move steel, or are we gonna just put some yellow caution tape on it and call it a day?
Okay. Right on.
So that's what
Nice.
I'm using Revit for. The other thing, like on this one, these 3D grids, like that's just something that's useful for my coordination, so we know where we're at. That doesn't get modeled in, and then on the beam insulation here, so like they'll model the beam, but I'll put in like the 2-inch insulation that's going around it. So I know we can compress this up to an inch, but if it's further than an inch in here, then we actually have a problem with fire, whoever's going through at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I use Revit for. What's that,
Right on.
Brandon? Oh, I thought you said something, but
No.
yeah.
Okay, Clash test using combo of Navisworks and Reddit, and then also example given was the catwalk and walkways.
Mhm.
6'8" ceiling height. Sweet. Okay. So in combination, I guess software technology number one, I'll kind of run through it because you already told us what that software and technology does. I would assume you would use Revit the most for modeling. Is there anything else you do with Revit to get specific into, like, I don't know if there's a like manufacturer models or anything like that?
No, as a GC, I'm trying to limit my liability on that. So
Okay.
I have a sub who's on this project. They're modeling life safety lines, just little 3/8 inch thick steel cable that's going across these catwalks here, so
Yeah.
people can clip onto them and hang lights or whatever they need, smoke machines or whatever. This guy's never modeled in 3D. He's like, "Can you do it for me?" And I was like, "No, I'm not doing your job for you.
Yeah.
Figure it out." Uh, like, one, I'm not going to do his job. Two, I can't. Like, I mean, I could I could take his 2D drawings and make them 3D and put them exactly where they need to go. But say like I just showed you, I was an inch and a half off on that clearance. If I did that on the life safety coordinated everything, I was like, oh hey, we're good, no issues. And they go out in the field installed to like his 2D drawings at the correct height, and all of a sudden we have issues. Who are they going to blame? That I'll get at least partial blame. Like, hey, you coordinated this, you modeled it in, you said it worked.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I can't. So can I? Yes. Should I? No. And will I? No.
Yeah, good
And
looks.
with your models, are you ever getting like data back from the field with as built and having to update those, or is it mostly just used for like the pre-construction purposes of just visualizing the project?
So on Vila, we've had a lot of changes. I don't know how much Jack has told you about that project. It's a 27-story apartment building downtown Phoenix. It's the ugly green one if you're driving by. It's actually right next to the ASU campus that's up there. There's the design was just bad from the very beginning, and we've basically redone the entire design during coordination. like I said, it was not perfect. So there's things on the amenity level that we thought were working, but just aren't, with like process pipes. So they're being remodeled, and I'm pushing them back out live to so we can see what the how the changes impact everyone.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because like basically every trade is going to tell the other trade to move. Like no one wants to move their own stuff. It costs money. It's reworked. No one wants to do that. So they always try to get everyone else to move. So when someone's like, just have that guy move it, I'm like, well, let's check out in the model. If that moves it, what domino effect does that cause?
Yeah.
And with that life safety guy that I said that he didn't know how to model in 3D, he was going through a bunch of ducts. He's like, can you move the duct? And like 8 inches, and like looking into it, it's like if you move the duct 8 inches, then you have to move the fire system 8 inches, and then this duct is also going through the roof. So now you have to change your structural framing for the penetration for a 3/8 inch thick line. No, like you like
Right.
you
You're the smallest player in this operation. You got to move, not not the
yeah,
structural steel. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Right on. Um. So I guess um everyone uses BIM, but on my sheet it says who uses your products and software. Like what trades mostly, if you could give me a list, use your have a BIM department or interacting with BIM in some way.
Uh, Pretty much any good mechanical contractor. You know what? I'll no. Let me. There's a better answer.
Yeah.
The trade, the good anyone that is good in their field is using BIM.
Okay.
Uh, from mechanical, electrical, fire protection, even framers, because if things are being prefab in factory, they need to know where their studs are going to be. The ones that are not using BIM or not in 3D, they're behind the times. Their quality is usually lower, and they're very frustrating to work with.
Okay.
Yeah, so for big projects, the trades that are selected for like a big project and like a reputable company, they're using BIM.
Wait. That makes sense. Well, I guess who would you say is the least likely person to use BIM on your job, internal or external?
Least like so like for my job, like like for this coordination, I require them to BIM it out. Um, so I got the ones least likely are probably the ones that I don't have direct involvement with, and that would be uh I guess for like on this project, the catwalk, like the catwalk is an architectural, like that came from the architect, but
Gotcha.
the person that's actually building it, I haven't received anything from them. But for like what I do, like I can't coordinate something with a missing trade because it defeats the purpose. Um, like say if I had fire, like a fire protection guy, like, oh, we don't do BIM, like, well, that's just gonna set us up for failure. I can coordinate
Hmm.
everybody else, but then you throw in sprinklers and then it just goes through everything. Then there was no point of that coordination. So I need everybody to be to be doing a BIM software so I can coordinate.
Right on. That makes sense too, because it just seems like that's where everything is moving. Um, so for Navisworks and Revit, I guess what's your biggest likes and dislikes about both of those softwares programs?
Navisworks, I like how easily I can see the problem. I like how I'm able to color code everything and then just see where our issues are at.
Okay.
It takes a while to get proficient in it. And honestly, when I see other people driving a model, I cringe. I was like, it's do it the other way. Like, you don't need to do it that way. And I try not to be that guy to be like, let me do it. I try not to be, but
Yeah, I've seen
um,
James do that a couple times.
yeah.
Say
Uh,
I hate looking at the model like on the like in a meeting. I'm always so slow to get things done in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Funny story. Last week, I just have actually this is kind of this also answers your what I don't like. Um, Last week I was in a coordination meeting and I happened to see like a vertical duct going into one of those catwalk grids, and it was right above a light, but they didn't make contact, so it wasn't a clash. I didn't pick up on that issue, and I just randomly saw it in the meeting. I'm like, oh hey guys, one of you needs. I don't care who moves, light or duct, but somebody you're taking the same spot here, and we're like, well, how often is this happening? And so I just drove through the model, and it looked like the 90s screensaver when you're going through the maze. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about there, but uh, but real quickly, without using the clash detective because it didn't work, like I just flew through the model and was looking for any instance where like the duct and the light would be occupying the same space. And I only found two, so that was, you know, got lucky on that. But what I don't like is if things are not physically touching, then and you're not paying attention, you can miss potential issues.
Okay. Potential issues.
And Navisworks also, it has a lot of quirks. And if you like some things, there's to make it do what you want, that you just have to do it. There's an order of operations, and you just have to like be using the software long enough to get through it. So when I'm like telling a new person, oh, do this, but then it just like the model looks gray, or you know the section plane is off. I was like, oh, you need to these 3 clicks first to get there. So that's kind of a pain. So that's a pain in the ass. Where
Yeah.
Navisworks just is quirky like that.
So yeah, just a lot of variables to get. There's a lot of variables to learn basically before you become proficient at it. To see what you need to see. Is that kind of what you're
Mhm.
saying? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Okay. Um. And then
Any
yeah.
likes dislikes about Revit?
There you go.
Revit, I I really like modeling in Revit. I Because I've been doing it for a while. It's very intuitive to me. Um, but it is a steep learning curve. So like you can be introduced to Revit in a class first semester and play around with it, but you're just getting a taste of its potential. Uh,
Yeah.
there's just so much you can do with it that people don't even know. Um, what I don't like is actually I don't. This doesn't. This somewhat affects me personally, but just it's Autodesk as a whole is Revit has become the standard architecture software in the US, and Autodesk has made themselves so big that there's really no competition. There's ArchiCAD, and that's used in Europe, but they're kind of slipping too. So I don't like that it's kind of this monopoly, and there's not a lot of like there's no other new software coming in.
Yeah.
And because it's a monopoly, it's really expensive. So you guys can get like a student version with your email for 4 years.
Mhm.
I did that. Like I waited until after I graduated. I still had my student email, and I used it to get 4 years of the student version of Revit, and I got to play with that. And I was real sad once that disappeared on me. Like I've even considered like just like doing one class at a community college just to get a student email so I could get Revit again, because that would be cheaper than getting a Revit license, because Revit changed their licensing from where you could buy it, just buy a version, to where it's subscription based, and it's like a minimum $3,000 a year. So
It's ridiculous.
it is. And that like those subscription costs, like those are a big factor for like budgeting VDC. It's not just like the man hours, it's all the overhead stuff for like equipment and software and things like that.
What are some of the coolest things you've seen, I guess, done with Revit that are kind of like that you wouldn't think that you're able to? I know just general modeling, but is there anything like in specific where you're just, I don't know, kind of blown away that the program can do it?
No, I mean, it does what I expect it to do.
Right. Okay.
Like I have my own 3D printer, and instead of
Yeah.
learning other 3D modeling software, I use Revit, which it's not built for that. But I think it's easier for me to get around like using it outside of architecture than it is for me to like learn Fusion or Blender.
Okay. That's actually pretty. I remember you doing some stuff with that for I forget, it was a Nintendo 64 system, I
Actually,
think.
no, I finished it not too long ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, I made myself a GameCube.
Oh,
That's so
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
It's magnetic lid, and I got Raspberry Pi in there. So
Oh, I'm glad that came to fruition, dude. That was when you were telling me about it, I was like, it's pretty cool.
yeah, so I modeled that from scratch in Revit. Yeah.
And is that something you should do right out of the gate? This is honestly for kind of personal knowledge, but
Do what? Revit?
like 3D model in Revit.
Sorry.
3D model for your 3D printer in Revit. Like I know it's kind of out of the norm, but should you do that just based on like a?
I
Like
do
if
it
you were
because I know how
starting
to 3D model in Revit. Like
Right.
I've never heard of anyone else using it. Like I said, it's an architectural software. So to
Okay.
like make little cubes, or like just like I repair like all my kids' toys with this thing, and so I'm just modeling it in Revit, like a Hot Wheels track. Like I modeled a Hot Wheels track in there. So
Okay, dope. All right. So last question: what technologies would you really like to see more of in the industry?
I would like to see more competition to Autodesk. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I think Autodesk has too firm of a grip on the industry.
Okay. And just because there's such a monolith in, BIM slash CAD slash pretty much, if it includes a model or some sort of plan viewer, you name it. But what would be the way to, I guess, to step in that direction where you're actually creating something innovative? Like,
Like, are you asking? Wait, say that again.
like Navisworks and Reddit already do so much of your of the job. You know what I mean? What would be the next steps where you're like, oh, I don't see this feature in Navisworks or Revit?
Um, I don't know. Big companies like Clayco. So I currently work for Clayco. I worked for Gilbane and Katera before that. And Gilbane and Gilbane and Clayco are huge companies. They do a lot of work nationwide. They have direct contacts to Autodesk. Katera, when that was around, they had a lot of personal connections to Autodesk. And so for a good chunk of my professional career, I've worked with people that had like direct communications to the R&D department of Autodesk and be like, hey, we would like to see this feature be put in there. And so Autodesk, like at Gilbane, I can't talk about it, but at Gilbane, there was something that we wanted, and we got with an Autodesk representative, and they prototyped it like within 6 months.
Whoa. Okay.
Nice.
So I know that's a bit out of the norm for like pretty much anybody else, but I guess that's one of the benefits of working with larger GCs like that. And I'm not saying that's the way to go. I've worked for mid-size and large GCs, and there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
But so I guess that's one of the pros is like the bigger you are, the more influence you have over the market and the market tools.
Okay. Sweet. Well, thanks so much for taking the time, Alex. I really appreciate it. I kind of went off at the tangent on some of these.
Yeah, I rambled a bit. So
No, it's super interesting, and I honestly love hearing about BIM because it's only where the future's heading. So, yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah,
I've
thank
been
you so
hearing,
much.
yeah, no problem. But just what you just said, it's the future. I was hearing that when I was in college. I graduated in 13, and that's how I got into this. Like, oh,